The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Maynard Costerisan's Third Party Thursday. We have Aaron from Jet Reporting joining us today, and he is going to give us some insights to this wonderful reporting tool that we also work with Aaron to get started and implement with our customers. So any questions we're going to go ahead and present at the end with Aaron, and he can go through those. You are always welcome to type those in on the right-hand side in the chat function. Everyone will be muted during the presentation so that Aaron can help us get through everything and explain everything in detail. So please feel free to do that, and we will go ahead and make sure that Aaron gets those at the end of the presentation. Aaron, you want to go ahead and take it away?
Perfect. Thanks for the introduction, and thank you everyone for joining today. Of course, a big thanks to Maynard Costerisan for putting this on today. What we're really going to be focused on, it says it right there in the name, corporate business analytics and faster financial reporting with Jet. Jet's a tool specifically designed for GP and the Dynamics suite as a whole. So we're going to look at how it can connect to GP, Business Central, but then really get beyond that as well. One thing that users are finding more and more these days is that not all their data lives in their ERP. Maybe they have additional systems they need to connect to. And so we're also going to take a look at business analytics and how if you're a growing company and you're finding, additional needs for your data, there's tools that make that easier for users and allow you to get a holistic view of your business, view of your organization from all your different systems. And so that's what we're going to really focus on today, and I'm Senior Channel Manager Aaron Strawn here. And really, what we're going to focus on, as I mentioned, we're going to look at what reporting is, how that compares to analytics, and then really get into kind of understand what that analytics piece is, what business intelligence means for organizations. There's a lot of terminology being thrown around these days around business intelligence. And so I'm going to try to demystify a lot of that, really help better understand what these tools are at a really fundamental level, how they can help improve your business if you're finding you have reporting constraints, if you find there's data and insights that that exist within your different systems and you're just having trouble accessing those insights, we're going to walk through how you can use tools for that as well. And so really kind of breaking down why people are looking into additional reporting tools, additional needs for that. So that a lot of these ERPs, the initial data coming out of them, the initial reporting, it's not very efficient. It's usually they have some canned reporting that can do a serviceable job getting you some information in there, but a lot of users are really focused on really customizing their data, making sure that they're leveraging those segments to break out their different business units, their sources of funding, and they want to be able to report against that as well. And so there's a big market about making this easier, since these data sources, these different ERPs, really optimized for putting data into them, organizing that data, managing your business through them. But that data isn't always optimized for reporting. And so the burden becomes on the user to identify, where that data lives, how I'm going to bring it into my reporting. And that can create potential bottlenecks. Not everyone has the technical experience needed to bring those reports in. And when you're looking at any kind of real-time reporting tool, you need to know where that data lives. And so there's some constraints that are affecting businesses these days. And I think you're going to see that Jet Reports does a lot of things that are able to mitigate some of these. And then Jet Analytics is something that can solve those problems if they're expanded across multiple systems, if you have a wide range of data you're trying to work with. And so we'll kind of look at how we can address this, how we can streamline your reporting process. We'll start by looking at Jet Reports. This is our live real-time reporting tool. And Jet, we're unique in this space because we're dedicated to the Dynamics suite. We've been working with Microsoft since 2002, and so we've developed some custom tools specifically for these dynamic systems, whether that's GP today, whether you're looking into Business Central for the future. We have custom tools that are going to be able to allow users to access that data. And so the whole idea with Jet Reporting is that this is something that's going to bolt directly into Excel. We found that's where most financial professionals, that's where they're ultimately consuming their data. That's where they're comfortable. So we set out to create a tool that allows users to stay right inside of Excel and just add these JET functions that basically allow them to determine what data do I want to pull from my database, what format do I want that data structured in, and then they can tie in any Excel functionality they want to alongside those. So if they want to build in formulas, charts and graphs, conditional formatting, all that kind of stuff, you have all the flexibility of Excel to design these reports that don't just pull data, but actually give you the calculations, the meaningful insights that you're looking for out of that data. And so we'll jump in, look at some examples of reporting live off the database, show what it can look like to build your financials, building a kind of reporting you'd like to with JET, and then we'll shift gears to look at the business intelligence piece as well. And so I'm just going to go ahead and jump in here. This is the JET ribbon at the top. This is what a JET report would look like. As you can see, you're right inside of Excel. You can easily build reports straight in the tool. You have a lot of functions where you can refresh these reports anytime you need to, pull in the most up-to-the-minute information right out of your ERP.
Aaron, I'm sorry to interrupt. I think you're showing the wrong screen on the GoToWebinar because I'm seeing there.
I think it was.
There we go. Yeah, so if you could start over. Oh, yeah, that one.
There we go. I think it was showing stuck just on the PowerPoint.
Could have been, yeah. I think
okay.
we're set now though. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, and so this is a quick look. We have one report right here created right inside this tool with JET. You can see this is the JET ribbon that bolts directly into Excel. And the whole idea here, you can refresh reports anytime you need to pull in the most up-to-date information. If you need to drill into that information, get into your transactional detail, make sure all your entries you're looking for in a given balance are there. We have drill down that will open a grid view right inside of Excel. And then there's also tools for distribution, different ways you can access these. And then you can see here in this particular example, really a lot of ways you can customize these reports. You can easily break them out across your different segments. So if you want to batch out different departmental versions, you can easily do so as well. And then there's other ones like this, where this one actually does a really nice job of leveraging some Excel functionality in conjunction with these JET tools. So it's not only giving us our actuals and our budget information over the year, it's looking into that data we're pulling in and saying, hey, is there an actual? If so, let's bring that in. If not, we'll just pull in the budget number. So that way you can get your rolling forecasts. You can still see what you're projected, what you're budgeted, what the variance looks like. And so you can have your reports seamlessly update as you're working through the year, working through the calendar. And so let's look at what it takes to actually design some of these, how we can get some data into Excel and get some reporting built out. I'm going to start, you see here, I'm connected right to GP. And then these tools here, these are all the different tools that you can use with JET to essentially tell the system what data do I want to pull from my database, what format do I want that data returned in. And for this example, I'm going to go ahead and we'll start with a financial example. I'm going to go ahead and hard code in the date range here for this sample database. And then I'm connected to GP here. So anytime I'm going to be looking at building a financial report, I'm going to turn to this GL function. It was specifically designed for GP, gives users a real simple set of questions they can work through to help determine how and where they want this data brought in. And so this first one, where it says where, basically asking where would you like this data returned? We can return to a specific cell. We can break out this data across rows, across columns, or we can even split things out across multiple sheets, kind of like you saw in one of those sample reports where we had broken out by one of our segments. Let's do that with this one. I'm going to select sheets here. And what do I want broken out across those sheets? You see we have all our different segment codes available to us. I'm going to select segment 1 for this example because that's going to give me departments on this, this particular database. And then once I hit OK, JET's going to always query and pull in the first value, just so you know you've wrote the report correctly, but it won't return all the data until you run the report. So let's go ahead and build out around this. We know we're going to want to grab the account number. We're going to want the account names. And then let's put together a variance report. Let's go ahead and let's grab our balance. Let's grab our budget. And then we'll go ahead and calculate the variance. And basically, I can work my way across this row with JET And when I'm done, I'll essentially have the report built out. So this time when it says where, I have it laid out in a row. So we're going to tell it please return across this row here. What I'd like to see is I'd like to retrieve a list of accounts tied to that. And I can go ahead and if I want to tie that to my segment, you can see here we have the live read-only view, so I can see my different segment codes. I can preview those. And if I want to, let's take advantage of the fact that we're in Excel. I'll just go ahead and cell reference and tie those to that segment code right there. Okay, so there we're seeing our account brought in. Let's go ahead and pull in the account names as well. So this time, what we want to see is the account name. And for which account, again, we have the live read-only view. You can see and you can preview the potential values to pull in. I could start Control-Shift-clicking and grabbing these accounts, or I can also use all these operators available to me. So if there's a range of accounts I want to grab, if there's a specific one I want to exclude, may not make sense to do that in this example, but those are all available to me. I'm actually just going to go ahead and tie it back to this account number right here and bring in the account name. Same idea with the balance. What we want to see is the balance. We want to see it for this account here. At this point, let's also go ahead and grab our start and end date. We hard coded those in, but we can just go ahead and grab those right here, give us our net change over time. And one thing to note, if you have your account categories set up, you're going to be able to use those in much the same way to design really fast reports that really easily pull in that data because you've already done a lot of the optimization already setting up those categories. You're also, anytime you're including balance information, going to have the option to include unpost activity. It's going to default to false, but it's there if you need it. And then finally, if you have multiple companies set up within GP, you'll see that you can connect to all of those within a single report. You can pull from multiple systems. You would see each company laid out here, and then you still have your different operators. You can select between those. You can even cell reference to tie in your company codes, and then you just have to update one cell, and you can update the report globally. So a lot of options around reporting across multiple companies, not something that's an issue with Jet there. And then since we use cell referencing on this formula, I can actually just drag it over and we'll just open up that formula and flip the what from balance to budget, bring our budget detail. And on that note, if we have any budgets that live in GP, we're also going to be able to access those here as well. So you can pull what budgets you need to into that. And then last thing we'll do, nothing too complicated, but we'll just go ahead and calculate the variance. And then I'm going to go ahead and do some formatting, but as far as Jet's concerned, the heavy lifting is done. I've told it what data we want to pull from our database, what format we want that data returned in. And so last thing I'm going to do before I run this report, you may have noticed the auto plus hide on the top left corner. First row and column are always designated for Jet keywords. A lot of times you're just going to be using some real simple formatting ones, like we'll use this hide command to hide this row since it's not super relevant to the end user. We'll use this fit command to automatically adjust the columns to match the information within them. And then now we can come back up in the Jet ribbon, hit run, and at this point, it's going to query the live database. It's going to pull back the information that we've requested in the format that we've requested. So we should see our hundreds, 200s, and so on split out across different sheets for us. And there we go. We can see just as we wanted, we have our lists of accounts broken out by segments. So we essentially have a different departmental report split out across each sheet. So really nice tool, really easy to build out and have it return data in a specific format. And then one really nice piece with this tool is that if you want to go back and modify these, you can just jump at back-end design mode and modify these reports in a way that should feel really similar to Excel. Like, especially if you're using cell referencing, say I want to update the date range, maybe want to grab the first half of the year, I can plug in a new value there. You see the cache data updates to reflect that. I could even go ahead and if I want to maybe create a copy of this sheet, we could copy it, we could create a consolidated view on the first sheet, maybe want to get our full sum totals. So in that case, rather than have this tied to breaking out across our segment in different sheets, I'm just going to go ahead and instead hard code in the segment range. And so now we'll have everything on our first sheet. We still have our sheet replicator set up on the second one, and we have our new date range. And that's all it took to modify, change my dates, change some parameters on what I'm reporting against, and now I'm going to have a new updated report that I can save, distribute to users, and let them get the insights they need to there. And so we'll just show right here, we scroll all the way through, see we got everything brought in on the consolidated sheet, and then we still have our different segments broken out on the following sheets. And then on top of that, obviously, you're going to want to get into this data. There's going to be times you want to see what makes up that balance. If you click on the cell and you see that arrow there, tells you there's drillable information. You can also access it up here. And this is something that's going to allow you to drill first down to the account level. Maybe you're pulling multiple accounts into a single cell. It'll allow you to first dive into the account level, determine which account you want to drill further into. And then once you go through there, you're into all your journal entries. So here we have all our journal entries tied to that balance, as well as all the metadata associated with those transactions. And you can customize these, pull some of these out if you're not planning on using those. If you want to sort or filter or organize these, you can create groupings, you can drag these around. Here we have them now grouped by transaction type. We can filter by date ranges. So quite a bit of analysis you can do directly within the drill down. And then if that's not enough, you can export back into Excel for additional analysis on it. And so that was a look at how Jet can help you put together some better financials out of GP. Note that we have a whole library of pre-built reports with a lot of different examples, different styles and formatting for your major financial reports, whether those are your income statements, your P&Ls, your cash flows, balance sheets, whatever you need. Tons of options there. But beyond that, we're able to get outside the general ledger as well. So let's look at if you were focused on, maybe doing some kind of vendor reporting, sales reporting, inventory. There's a lot of modules, a lot of different systems within GP. Maybe you're using third-party add-ons that are feeding in tables. Very popular tool with Jet and GP is this browser tool for just that reason, because it gives you a really clean, easy view into all of your tables and fields within your database. Jets comes right out of the box with these custom SQL views to help make it a little easier to find what you're looking for. And then on top of that, if you have any third-party add-ons, you'll see those tables here, your analytical accounting tables. And then if you want to develop any custom SQL views to better clarify that data, clean it up, you can use those with this as well. In fact, this series of Jet keywords tables are all custom SQL views that we've installed. That they come right out of the box. They integrate with a lot of the pre-built reports, but they can also just make day-to-day reporting a little easier. Like here we have our vendor master table. Say we're wanting to put together a quick vendor report where we want to know, quick snapshot of our vendors. We'll grab the numbers, the names, maybe we want to know where they're located and what their current balances are. So I can just select a few fields on this. I could even preview these values if I wanted to see what we're bringing into the report before we do so. And then I can just drag and drop this into the report, hit run, and I have my data. Of course, in this case, not the cleanest data set. You see a bunch of these don't have a balance. Some of them don't even have a state assigned to them. So it's a little bit of a mess. Let's see if we can clean this up and make a little more sense out of it. So I'm going to go back into design mode, and you see here, even though I just drag and drop that data over, Jet's always going to give you a formula, so that way you can customize, you can modify, you can easily work with these. And in this case, it created it in the form of this NL function, which is really the most powerful tool in the Jet ribbon. This example is really straightforward. We're returning data across rows. We're pulling from a specific table. We're pulling in these fields, but there's a whole host of different ways you can return data. So you can filter it as it's coming through, break out any data point you want across rows, columns, or sheets, create sums, lookups, and even if you're needing to link multiple tables together, this would be the place where you can do that as well. And so you can pull in multiple tables, tie those together, and build in that business logic right inside of Excel with Jet. And then beyond that, we can use this to filter the data down. So if we wanted to maybe start by filtering by state, I think we saw there was some Midwest ones there. We'll go ahead and grab a few, just grab a whole range. wanted to make that Ohio actually, going Midwest today. And then if you also want to, we can filter by balance. So let's go ahead and clean this up a little bit there. We can preview the values, see what we're pulling in, and we'll say let's make the cutoff right around 10,000. So we just want to see those accounts that have a balance greater than 10,000. Once I hit OK, you're going to see the cash data update to reflect that. And then there we go. And then beyond that, we're in Excel. If we want to build out additional calculations, we can do whatever we'd like to in here using, any kind of Excel functionality. So say we want to do, some sort of margin calculation, we could build that in. I could go ahead and total these. This might be a good one to attach a chart and graph to, so we could clean that up a bit as well. Maybe we can just go ahead and format this. I'll just select these two columns. We can go ahead and insert a chart right there. Maybe we want to look at apply some conditional formatting. We could easily do that as well. Let's see if we can get a target there. And then at that point, I can go ahead and run the report. I'm gonna have my filtered data set. I'm gonna have my chart populated. You'd see I kind of missed the mark on the conditional formatting, but you see the data refreshes, the chart populates, and if we want to jump back in design mode and change any of those filter parameters, like maybe I just want to, maybe we want to actually say, let's do only those with a balance over 5,000, so we'll refine that data set a little bit. And now I go back and rerun it, and we have a few more data points there, and our chart and graph still populated to pull those in. And so you can tie in any kind of Excel functionality you want to. Jet's going to follow right along. And so you can build, if you need to build in calculations, metrics, calculate margin or gross profit based on certain business customers or units. There's a lot of flexibility with this tool, but the one constant with any real-time reporting tool that you're looking at, even a fantastic one like Jet, is the burden is on the end user to know where that data lives and how they want to bring it into the report. And so if you have users trying to report against generate reports and they don't know where that data lives, they don't know the data structure of the ERP, that can create some roadblocks. The other thing that we see a lot of users run into with real-time reporting tools is if they're trying to pull data from multiple systems. You can do it. You can connect real-time reporting tools like Jet to multiple systems. You can pull data from those. You identify common keys and link tables together, and you can build reports out that aggregate data from multiple systems. But it's a very burdensome process. It requires you to develop all those customizations within every single report you design. And so what I also want to focus on, just because I know that the conversation is being heard more and more often around business intelligence, is kind of level set on that and take a look at what is business intelligence, why is it different from reporting, and then we'll kind of close out by taking a quick look at how you can achieve that with Jet Analytics. So I'm going to pop in slides for just a couple quick more minutes, but we'll be back into the fun stuff in a moment. Just want to kind of establish what we're talking about here when we're talking about business intelligence. Is we're really talking about leveraging data warehousing and cubes for optimized data for reporting. And we'll walk through how we do this. Jet's unique because we're Dynamics focused. We actually have a pre-built project for GP as well as for Business Central. And so we have some tools that help kind of get these projects off the ground much faster. But let's dive in. Let's really understand what we're talking about when we're explaining business intelligence. And I think this chart does a really good job explaining it. We start with your database, your core ERP. As you all know, it's a complex web of tables and fields. They have specific relationships between them, and it's not disorganized. It definitely has a sound organizational structure, but it may be a bit of data overload. There's a lot, there's a lot of data in there, potentially more than you're trying to report against. And as I've mentioned, the burden is on the end user to know where that data lives. So what a business intelligence solution would do would be they would funnel that data into a data warehouse where you're organizing that data by subject matter, you're pulling in the relevant data and organizing it, And then at that point, you're also linking together multiple systems. And so if you have CRM data, we're going to make sure that CRM data speaks to your GP data. If it's payroll, if it's warehousing, any kind of other systems you have, we can map all of those into the data warehouse and give one unified data set where you can report against all of your systems. That's where a lot of BI tools will stop. We actually take it one step further by funneling those off into cubes, which add dimensionality and give us basically give you every value pre-calculated in every combination possible. So that means if you have key performance indicators that matter to your business, if you have important metrics that drive a lot of your results, you can build that logic into the data model. You can also use that for more advanced and more sophisticated reporting, like if you have multiple companies and you need to manage consolidations and intercompany transactions, that logic can be built into the data model. If you have a robust international sales business and you need to manage your multi-currency, that's another great thing that can be built within the data model. And then again, just making sense of all your disparate systems. And so if we zoom out a little bit from a systems perspective on what we're looking at here, this kind of breaks it down. We're taking your Dynamics database, maybe your legacy systems, maybe your CRM, point of sales, payroll, really any of these kind of SQL or ODBC systems that we're talking about. And we use a data warehouse automation tool that's 5 times faster than traditional BI methodology to take this data and map it into a data warehouse in cubes and make sense of that data. And as I mentioned, we have a pre-built project for GP and Nav and Business Central. So we have something that we can deploy much faster and at lower risk because we're working with a data model that hundreds of users are already deploying out in the field, and then we're customizing it to fit your needs. And then the beauty of a BI solution is that once that's in place, you can consume that data however you want. Of course, it works great with Jet right side of Excel, but you can use other tools, especially if you want to leverage data visualization. That's something that a lot of companies are looking for just better ways to interact with their data, to look at trend analysis, things that may not be as easily visible or apparent just looking at Excel-based reporting. So tools like PowerBI from Microsoft can be used with this. But the important thing is in that data model and making sure that that data is sound and is going to produce meaningful value for your organization. And so let's look at what that actually means, what that looks like from a reporting standpoint. I'm going to go ahead and jump in here, and I'm just going to connect to the demo cubes here, and we'll just look at a couple quick examples from this. And so I'm going to go ahead and open up a pivot table. If you like pivot tables, I got great news for you. They work fantastically with the cubes. If you don't like pivot tables, you're still okay because you have these other tools from the Jet Ribbon you can use as well. But anyway, jump in with a pivot table. You can see we have our different cubes available. These are all from our pre-built project. So right out of the box, we have finance, inventory, AP, AR, purchasing, sales, and there's even manufacturing cubes for those who need them. Of course, manufacturing, no surprise, probably the most heavily customized of all of them. But in any case, I'll just go ahead and connect to the sales cube here because I know there's good data in this one. We'll look at a couple of the other cubes shortly though. So you see on the right, we're no longer looking at our traditional table and field structure. Instead, what we're looking at are called measures and dimensions. Measures being numerical values, things like unit counts, cost, profit, sales amounts. And then dimensions are going to be anything that gives relevance and meaning to those numbers. So it could be your customer detail, could be your different companies, your different your item categories, posting dates, sales org people, any one of those. And so say I want to see some long string of data, like I wanted to see my sales, my cost, my profit. I wanted to see that broken out, year over year, maybe broken out by, whoops, hit the wrong button there. Maybe broken out by item category, by location, by salesperson. I mean, it sounds like a lot. You're probably already thinking, how many different tables do I have to tie together to pull that together? Maybe even how many systems. But with Jet Analytics, the heavy lifting's already done in the back end. I can just start checking some of these boxes and get my data. So I'll just go ahead and grab cost, we'll grab sales, we'll grab our profit percent, I can come down through here and we'll grab our item categories, grab our date ranges. And so right there, I checked 6 boxes and I have my data, and we could keep going, of course. You know, we could break this out maybe by salesperson. Maybe we want to break this out by location. Maybe we want to attach some charts and graphs to this, do some sort of Excel-based dashboarding. But you saw that I didn't have to wait for this data. I didn't have to know where that data lived. I really just had to focus on the real world outputs that I wanted to see, and that's what I got here. And now I also can roll out and roll up into these different item categories, see the specific items that make up those. If I want to drill into any of this information, I can just double click into it. And so it gives you a much easier user experience where they don't have to understand the data. They can really quickly go in, get the insights they need to, whether it's an ad hoc nature or reports you've already generated for them, but they can really effectively and easily get access to the data, get the information they need to without being any kind of a technical whiz with these tools. Let's look at one more example out of Excel here, and then I will jump into some dashboarding. I'm going to go ahead and connect to the payables cube at this point. We'll put together a AP aging report. So you see here, again, we have a new cube here. We have our different transactions broken out by either the local currency or the transaction currency. We'll go ahead and bring this in on local currency. We'll go ahead and add in our aging buckets. Let's split those out across columns. Let's go ahead and bring in our vendors, and we'll break those out by their posting group. Just go ahead and expand those. And then let's go ahead and add a couple slicers. Let's go ahead and we'll add in a currency slicer. We can go ahead and pull in, maybe we want to break this out by company. And then let's go ahead and make sure we get a filter so we can choose whether or not we want to include open or closed. And so there we go, real quick and easy. I was able to get a quick AP aging report where I can see my different buckets broken out in the local currency. And then if I want to pull that in different currencies or filter which ones those came through, I can slice and dice that data. And alternatively, you also saw in this, if we wanted to, we still have the transaction currency table and information as well. So if I want to break in that transaction data that occurred with instead, I can do so. But whatever the case, all those calculations are managed for me right in the back end of the tool. And then of course, can't talk about BI without talking about data visualization. It's a very hot topic these days. And I know Microsoft's Power BI is one of those that's getting a lot of attention. So I just like to highlight, it gets confused as a BI solution in and of itself. Really what Power BI or any of these data visualization tools are giving you is a BI front end. It's a front end interface, but there isn't anything in here that's helping make sense of the data, optimizing the data. That's something that analytics comes in and helps support this. So Power BI, you can sit right on top of the cubes and easily pull data from those. Like you see here, this inventory dashboard, pulling from the inventory cube. We just connected to it and we have the same measures and dimensions that you would in Excel brought right into here. And then you have your slicers, you can interact with the data, break out your different dashboard panes. And most of the time you're just checking a couple boxes and picking a visual to bring this data in. Here's another example, pulling from the finance cube. So if we just expand this out, you can see here, you can break things out by your different GL levels, do your balance, variance, any kind of calculations you want to. Great resource there. And so let's look at how we can set one up from scratch here. So I'm going to go ahead and select Get Data. And I'm not sure if you've seen what it looks like to connect Power BI directly to a database, maybe to GP or to another system. I'll just highlight real quick, because sometimes these presentations around this tool, they kind of start with an optimized data set already. But if I go down, let me see where I can find our GP. I believe it's this one. Yeah, so you see here we have just all these different tables that in GP. These are ones that are in the process of being brought, being set up to bring into the data warehouse. But you see that, I mean, there's just tables and tables, and you have to understand, which ones you want to bring into the report, which ones you need to link together, how you want to tie those off. It's just a lot of work to set stuff up directly off of the database. But if I go ahead and instead connect to analysis services and just have this pointed at one of my cubes, I can just seamlessly pull that data in. We'll just go ahead and connect to the cube there. And we see there, we immediately have all of our measures and dimensions brought right into the dashboard. So I want to start building this out. I can just select a visual. We can go ahead and we'll do a sales dashboard kind of similar to that first example. So maybe we want to do sales by salesperson. We can just select a couple of those. That's one visual. Maybe we want to also break this out by our different item categories. So let's go ahead and plug in sales by item category. And then, as we mentioned, one of the things you see these used for a lot is for trend analysis, being able to, see long-term trends or maybe seasonality. So let's also go ahead and let's set this up so we can break this out by our different quarters, see if maybe we can tie anything to that. So I'll go ahead and break this out by quarter. And then, of course, Power BI also has some really fancy dashboards beyond these basic ones. So let's have fun with one of those. Let's get a visualization of, we want to see just where our most profitable customers are broken out by city. So let's grab that. And so you saw in very short order, I was able to just select some visuals and I have this great dashboard, and now I can interact with the data. If I want to start breaking this out, looking at each salesperson's given geography, see where they're having success, where their biggest customers are. Maybe I want to zoom out and focus on, what it looks like quarter by quarter. Are we seeing any kind of real trends on unit share? We see here some of these go completely dormant during this spring. You're seeing not real strong seasonal trends here, but maybe on some of those item categories. But the whole idea is it's a great way to interact with the data, to be able to visualize the data, slice and dice, and just have another way for users to be able to consume this information. And so this is a look at Power BI off of the Jet cubes. Of course, Jet also has their own dashboard builder that comes with the tool. It's kind of a Power BI Lite. You'll get a lot of visuals like these three on the bottom, but Power BI is, has some like this map that are kind of going above and beyond what the Jet tool would be capable of for just a dashboard standpoint. But you stick this on top of the cubes or any kind of BI solution you have in place, and you're going to be on your way to some really easy interactive dashboards to design for your organization. And so kind of tying this all together, summarizing, whether you're looking at reporting or a BI solution, you're going to be able to, you want to be able to get accurate data. You want to make sure that you're empowering your users with the tools that they're capable of using and capable of, and that's what they need to develop these reports. And so if you're an organization just looking for better reporting right out of your ERP, chances are pretty good a live reporting tool, a real-time reporting tool is going to be all you need to really take your reporting to the next level. But if you're looking at multiple systems, if you're maybe looking at migrating to a new ERP and thinking about what am I going to do with my historical data, how can I tie that in? If you have, really complex calculations or business logic that you're finding yourself manually having to build into every report you generate, those are the kind of reasons why you'd want to start looking into a business intelligence solution and see how you could essentially build in all that logic, build in all those calculations in the back end once, rather than having to replicate those out every single time you're trying to generate reports. And so with that in mind, it's kind of giving you a look at reporting versus analytics within the context of the Jet product suite. Wanted to make sure there was a little time left to open this up for questions for those who have them.
We don't have any questions at this point.
Okay. Give people little time to plug those in.
Yeah, we'll give you everyone another minute if there are any questions that come through. This is Kate again with Maynard. So, yep, I'm just watching to see if anything pops up. But at this point, since everything is wrapping up, thank you very much, Erin, for the great presentation, as always. And if anyone is interested or has any questions, you can always contact me through, and I can go ahead and put you off to Erin and get you guys connected. So I am the client services manager for our tech department. And so if you guys have any questions, always feel free to ask and we can push everything through after the after this presentation. And just a great reminder, this presentation is recorded. We'll make sure we share that link with everyone who was registered to attend. So if there are any questions at this point, Erin, I don't see any that are coming through. Chris, are there any? I don't think there are.
Sorry, I was muted.
You're fine.
Yes, we do have one. Will the slide deck be distributed?
Yeah, I can get that over to you guys.
Okay, so yes, we'll send that out when we send the notice that the recording has been posted.
Wonderful. All right, Erin, well, thank you so much. I always appreciate doing, these wonderful demonstrations with you. And as always, thank you very much, and you have a wonderful day.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. And thank you, everyone, for joining.